Ten Dance does not have an incomplete or an open ending. You guys just don't understand the ending, and I'm going to explain it to you. But before I explain the ending to you, you need to understand what actually happened in the movie, because I think that some people don't actually understand what the movie was about. But don't worry, I'm here to explain this to you. There will be spoilers, so if you don't want to get spoiled, then save this video, go and watch the movie, and if you're curious, you can come back to my video. The movie follows two men, Suzuki and Sugiki, and it's very important to note that the difference between both their names is just one letter. Suzuki is a Latin dancer, and the story is mostly told in his POV. This is why most of the edits you see are about him, because we experience the story through his point of view mostly. And in the first few minutes of the movie, we see that Suzuki is very good at what he does, but he does not have hunger. He does not have drive for what he's doing. That is essentially his problem. When he and Sugiki meet for the first time, Sugiki calls him out on that, telling him that he is a big fish in a small pond and he prefers to stay where he is. Sugiki, on the other hand, is a ballroom dancer. He's proper, he's professional, he's very rigid. And Sugiki's problem is that he is always second. We see him when he's talking to his mentor, Margaret. And Margaret is telling him, you can quit while you're ahead, while the audience is not tired of you. And he says, I cannot quit. Like, I have never been number one before. Like, I cannot end my career being second. And then we now have the famous line where Margaret tells him that technique and stamina, they are not everything you need love. So we see that Sugiki is missing something. We even see the commentators talking about it, like there is just this little thing that he is missing to be number one, and Margaret tells him that it is love. Later on, we will see in Sugiki's point of view that the first time he sees Suzuki when Suzuki is dancing, and he sees that intensity, that love for his art that Suzuki has, and that is why he reaches out to Suzuki in the first place and tells Suzuki, I can teach you to do ballroom if you can teach me Latin dance. I want to compete in this competition, which is the 10 dance. I want to come first place for the first time in my career. When these men meet, they are not just teaching themselves how to dance, they are also teaching themselves that essential thing that either of them need in their career to move forward. For Suzuki, he needs more discipline. He needs to learn how to allow another person to be in control. And we see it in that scene where Sugiki tells him to be the woman, to relax and allow him to take control. And we see that he's hesitant, he's struggling, until Sugiki holds him and supports him. And Sugiki tells him, you see how easy it is when you allow me to support you. That was the lesson that Suzuki needed. He needed to learn how to let go of control. And when he would let go of control, he will be able to do bigger, better things for himself. And we see it towards the end of the movie when his partner, his female dance partner, runs to him and tells him, I know I can help you to do better. I know I can support you and we can do better. And Suzuki hugs her because, again, he has learned that lesson that Sugiki was telling him. Allow somebody to support you. Like, it's easier for you when you allow another person to help you to achieve your goals, when you can lean on another person. Sugiki also teaches him discipline. We see it when they go to that fancy restaurant and Sugiki is telling him, get your hands off the table, sit straight. Like, that's how dogs eat. You have to eat well. And then Suzuki is like, I'm just eating, like it's just food. And Sugiki essentially tells him, okay, but what if you get bigger? When you see more opportunities, get more opportunities, you're going to sit with the biggest faces. And that is something Suzuki has never considered in his career. As I said, he is rather unambitious. He's very comfortable with small competitions coming first. But Sugiki was actually pushing him to do better in his career, to want more in his career. And Suzuki's goal is to push Sugiki to actually be number one. That scene where they have a fight in that hotel room and they end up kissing for the second time, they are not fighting because Suzuki was jealous. They were fighting because Suzuki was upset with him for being content with being number two. That was why Suzuki was telling him, I wouldn't be comfortable with being deceived. Like, why are you not fighting back? And he was talking about Sugiki's ex-girlfriend and Guillermo, who came first, and as usual, Sugiki came second, which has been a normal thing. Like, Guillermo and his ex-girlfriend were always winning and he was always coming second place. And Suzuki was not happy with that. He was crashing out at the spectators, telling them, why don't you let him win? Why don't you help him win? Because he desperately wanted Sugiki to be number one. When he started to make out with Sugiki. It was him trying to tell Sugiki, let me help you be number one. Remember, what Margaret told Sugiki that was missing in his heart was love. And throughout the book, when Suzuki is talking to his partner and his friends about Sugiki, they tell him, you sound as if you're in love. Suzuki was in love. Sugiki needed love. So Suzuki was telling him, like, you need me, like, allow me to love you, because that is what you're missing. That is what you need to come first, to finally win this competition and break the curse of coming in second. And that is why the ending is perfect, because at the end, Suzuki was finally competing in bigger spaces. You can hear that in the announcement he did not win, but the thing about it was that was the first time he was competing in such a big space. Like, for the first time, he wanted more for himself, he wanted more for his partner. And then after the dance and the finale, you see that Suzuki walks out and he waits. And he's actually waiting for Sugiki. When Sugiki was supposed to do the special performance, Suzuki was waiting for him. He was subconsciously waiting for Sugiki to reach out to him. And we see that Sugiki walks up to him and tells him, will you do me the honor of dancing with me? That means that Sugiki accepted him. Sugiki accepted his love. That love that Sugiki needed to win. They went together and they danced, and you see that for the first time Sugiki was happy. He was not rigid on stage. He let go of everything and he had a good dance, and you see that the audience applauded him, and at the end they kissed on stage and they said see you at the 10 dance, meaning that Sugiki accepted Suzuki's love. He finally had what he needed to compete. And you can even see two of their female partners looking at them. You see Suzuki's partner looking at Sugiki with so much love and tenderness, because they know that their partners finally got what they needed to push forward their careers. And this is why it's a happy ending. Both of them got what they wanted in the end. And you see that even when they are walking, like leaving each other, both of them smile, because they know essentially that they have won. Sugiki had accepted Suzuki's love, and Suzuki had also accepted Suzuki's love. That was why he was willing to push forward. So yes, it was a happy ending, not an open ending.